You have employees who get the work done. I call them executives. They execute. And you can give them an assignment, a checklist, and you know they're going to get it done. They're going to follow through. They have this drive inside. When people have goals, this motivation, it's great. And some people have it and some people don't. Everyone can have it. And you can do things as a leader to help people get focused on goals. But there's this resistance that we can get from others. And that pushes back on us, and we can resist pushing ourselves and challenging other people. That's a problem. And I'm a kind of guy that doesn't want to see you stressed out as a leader. I want to see you get things done. You're going to learn how to fix this problem, to deal with this resistance in the Decide Your Legacy podcast today. The situation I can get myself in is when it comes to goals, is I have a lot of ideas and not a lot of them are really good. Some of them are good, some of them aren't. But these ideas keep coming. And I believe over time I can use that as an excuse in itself, because I can say, I'll just have all these ideas and I won't put anything down. I won't stay focused on something. It's just like, this is me. I don't have to implement any of the stuff that I dream up, but I can sure dream. And that's a problem, because then I don't commit and follow through and take the action that's necessary. And I don't even learn to trust other people because I don't set these goals, because I don't want to get hurt too. That's something we're going to face and talk about today. So welcome to the Decide Your Legacy podcast. Today's episode is on why your team resists goals and how to fix it. You're going to learn how to fix this stuff so you don't have the stress and you see yourself and your team making progress, which is incredibly encouraging, because if you can think right now about a time when you've gotten everyone together on your team, or you individually have gotten a goal achieved and accomplished, I can almost guarantee you it wasn't an overnight thing. It was a process you engaged in step by step. But that feeling of knowing that you did the hard and you actually pushed through and you got to the end, and really there is no end, but you can see progress. You can measure and see metrics that determine and show you that you've made progress. It's a great feeling. And remembering that can motivate you to deal with the resistance within yourself and your team to push through. So as I do every episode, I want to share with you one scary thing that I have faced recently. And one thing that I did was last week I let some people down, and I didn't want to, but I had double booked myself. I was involved in an activity in church as a volunteer, and I also committed to playing golf with a group that I wanted to get to know. So usually I don't do this, but I let church down and I went and played golf, and it worked out okay. Everything's fine, but I don't like to do that because I don't want to let people down. And I did, and it's something I'm going to survive. So I am Adam Gragg. I'm your host. I'm a legacy coach. I've been a family therapist for 25 years, working with a lot of clients, a lot of businesses. And my passion is helping businesses and leaders live courageously. And FYI, everybody is a leader. You're a leader at home, you're a leader at work, you're a leader in your family. People are watching you, not through your window at night, hopefully. I mean, they might be, but people are looking at your life and saying, is that somebody I want to follow? Are they living a life? Are they living with integrity, or are they not? And we're all mixed bags. I don't have it all figured out. I'm not going to convey that at all. Yet, I am passionate about striving to live a life that can be a model, and that's a challenge. That's how I can find clarity each day. But I do struggle. I struggle with commitments. I struggle with commitment and fear and facing things. I get distracted. I was just looking at my phone this morning and how much time I'd been on social media recently, and it was not good. It was, social media, just my phone in general, it's not good, And so I think I'd be pretty ticked off if I saw that as a father on my daughter's phone, and I'm not living that out myself. And so, but that factual information can motivate me to make some changes. So I have a guest today. It's Kelsey Torkelson. She's on the team at Decide Your Legacy, and she's going to ask me some questions to get us talking about this resistance with goals and what we can do to fix it. Go ahead, Kelsey.
You've shared before about your dad's daily discipline, and he sticks to a schedule and he checks things off his list, and even about selling calculators. How do these examples influence the way about you and your goals?
Yeah, so in two different ways. So Stan is my cousin. He's my dad's first cousin, and he's an entrepreneur. My dad's an entrepreneur. And what I've just being around them and growing up around them. Stan's 95 and my dad is 86. And I have noticed with both of them that they always have goals. They always have something that they're striving for. And so it's impacted me in a very positive way and in a negative way too, because I often don't see the struggle to reach the goals nearly as much as I see the progress. And that's what happens. So I look at my dad and him being in commercial real estate and having these deals that he's put together with properties, either buying them, developing them, situations like that. He would talk and share and say, you know, it's hard. You know, you have deals fall through. You have situations that take so long to develop. And then now looking at him at 86 and having these developments that he is involved in as an owner and things, it's hard for me to, I can get discouraged because I can see, how can I get there? So I've looked up to my dad, and, you know, in a lot of ways, I mean, he's a mixed bag as well, you know, but there's been some insecurity that I've had because I can't necessarily live up to him and Stan. There's two people that I look up to a lot. Now, Stan, he's an entrepreneur as well, and he started out in 1951 selling these Remington Rand calculators for $635, and he was in sales. That was when he was 21 or 22 years old. I just saw him in Balboa Island, and he told me he would go to businesses and sell these things. I mean, and this was the first tool that was really high quality that would give you a printed receipt. I can show you pictures of them. I mean, they're really heavy. And back in 1951, $635 is the same as is almost $8,000 today. And so he got a 20% commission on those. And I asked him recently how many of them he thought he sold. And he said he thought he sold 180 of them. And then what goals did you have? And so that discipline that people have, and he's self-motivated. You know, my dad's self-motivated. They've all been motivated to do hard things on their own. And I want that. So it's a good and a bad thing.
You also describe yourself as a visionary who sometimes struggles to trust others with your goals. How has that shaped your journey as a leader and a goal setter?
Oh, in a big way. I mean, it gives me an excuse to not have goals because I'll just say I'm going to dream all the time and drink coffee and just think and not take action. And so it's helped me to think about good goals, but not necessarily take action on them. And it's led to perfectionism and procrastination. And more than anything, it's just been an excuse, I mean, because of my own fear to implement things and to try and fail and learn and iterate. And just saying, oh, I'm a dreamer. I'm a dreamer. You know, it's like, okay, at some point you have to say, hey, we got to execute here. And I have executed, and I look at the business and think, we've made so much progress. There's so much further I want to go. And that visionary aspect says, I'm not satisfied. You know, I'm not satisfied, and then I can get negative, and then my team can get negative because then I'm focusing on how much further I want to actually go. So, and that it leads me to a really major point that if you're going to motivate your team and if you're going to deal with resistance, first of all, you have to get very clear, rather than dreaming, very clear on paper where you're actually going. And talk to your team about those goals. And it's like you're putting action in the face of your fear to moving forward. Now, what I will do is have like 20 different goals. And you can probably attest to this, Kelsey, where I have so many different things, and a meeting for me can be 20 different topics that we focus on, rather than boiling it down to just 5 every quarter, to just 5 things we're focusing on every quarter. And I can list them. I mean, I can think of them right now. And this is really the first time I've done this in many years, to be that clear and specific and say, hey, this quarter we're going to hire a new coach. This quarter we're going to get the new website launched. This quarter we're going to have this many new sales and this much revenue. This quarter we're going to have, I mean, you probably know more than me. What are the other 3? But this quarter we're going to have launch Shatterproof yourself. We'll finish the sales page, a new sales page for Shatterproof. So I have these things down, and then we can focus on those specific goals, not all these other ones. And the team has helped me to refine them. And I dream them up, and then they say, look, hey, here's how we can make this concise, and that's the first big reason and first big way that you can help motivate your team, is get really clear, very specific, and only have these 5 goals that you're focusing on every quarter. And remembering that even if you don't hit those goals, as long as you're seeing progress, significant progress, it's going to be a part of the journey, but you can still celebrate it. And that way I can look and say, you know, hey, we do have something to celebrate here. And, you know, thinking about my dad too, is that if I ask him, he's done a good job at that. Like if you asked him today what his main goals are, I'm pretty confident he could tell you. He'd say something related to his health. He'd say something related to family. He would say something related to business. That's very specific. And I know over the last quarter, it's been getting this mini storage getting it filled up. And it's if I ask him, what percentage is filled up? There's like 700 units in this mini storage that he built that has 3 stories, and it's been a big project that he's had. And again, he's 86 years old, but he could tell me like to the percentage. He could tell me his break-even point. He could tell me it was over 50% last I asked, and he's close to the break-even point. It opened up in June. Now it takes a while. It opened up a year ago, but it's ahead of schedule. He could tell me that. And then his health. I want to do yoga this many times a week and this many times a week. I want to swim, and that's really cool to see that. And as annoying as my dad can be, I mean, he's very focused, and it's a great thing to see. And I think that's how you stay young, because it's one of the ways you stay young is because you're always challenging yourself to grow.
So I see a lot of your dad in you then, because that's how you live your life. I mean, you're very goal-oriented like that.
Yeah, and I would say, in some ways I've motivated him because I got into health and fitness before he did, although I would actually not say that's totally true. I would say I got him lifting weights, but my sister got him into yoga, but I got him into lifting weights anyway. But I would say that his rejection sensitivity is pretty low, like annoyingly low at times. Although it is kind of for me too in some ways. I mean, like in some ways I can be totally annoying with people and not really give a crap at all. Like because only if I truly. I got to watch that sometimes, but that's you're pushing through regardless of what other people think, but I do care what people think for sure.
Okay. So distractions, they derail us from our plans. How do you personally keep yourself focused and committed on your goals?
One of the best things that I have found is having a timer on my phone that sets either 15-minute, 45-minute, 30-minute, or an hour, depending on the task, and then it goes off. And so if I set that timer, then it's like nothing else gets any of my attention at this point right now. And then I can read for 15 minutes, and I want to make sure I set it appropriately, but I can work on this project for an hour, and that's very helpful to me. So if I'm making calls, it's for an hour, and I don't do anything until I don't get out of the office to get a cup of coffee. All these things come at you. I mean, it's like the moment you commit to something, then there's 2 forces that come to play. There's resistance that always is going to come, and then there's provision that is always going to come. Like you commit to something and making these calls that are hard, or having these conversations, or dealing with some situation. Like I did this last night. I knew I had to spend some time getting ready for a job offer that I was making today. And once I sat down, and I know I shouldn't have been working at night, but I knew that I had to do this because it's a special situation. Once I committed to go ahead and work on that, and I set my watch, then all of a sudden I had all these ideas for writing content related to my 5 favorite business books. and then I started to write that, and then it was like, dude, Adam, you're going to wake up in the morning, have nothing done, and not prepared for this meeting whatsoever. And so it because that was a major goal for the quarter, it shook me back up. I didn't do anything else regarding writing that. And even though we had set the goal to get this thing published tomorrow, I still shook it off, and I focused on getting prepared, and I was much more prepared for that meeting. And I think the results were much better than they would have been. And I've done that consistently, but if I just fight it and the phone, the stopwatch helps, crucially, but in just recognizing that resistance is always coming in the form of distractions, addictions, like coffee, like the coffee pot is my resistance. Like once I focus and it says, come drink me, then I waste another 5 minutes doing that, and it just is always going to be there. Or I commit to saying that I'm going to go hit golf balls for 15 minutes. I set the stopwatch, set the timer, put my headphones in, hit, and then all of a sudden, I got to go ahead and write this thing down because I'm going to forget it if I don't do it right now. And just nope, it's going to be there. You enjoy this time. Just stay focused. And that's a really great way to live. And every 15 minutes counts. So every 15 minutes counts. That's a huge thing for me to reach goals. Every 15 minutes towards that goal that you put in. So I got a 15-minute, it was actually a 20-minute workout in today. I wanted to have 45 minutes, but because I was doing other things, 15 minutes still counts.
Yeah.
And it was good. I mean, I had a good time working out. So I lifted weights, and that was good.
15 minutes is better than nothing.
It's better than nothing, yeah.
You've said one of the biggest reasons people don't set goals is fear of failure, or even fear of change. How can someone recognize when fear is driving their choices?
Well, it's interesting because if you go ahead and challenge an employee with a specific goal and say, I believe you can do this and your aptitude is here, and they seem relatively fascinated by it, like they say they want to do something, and then once you actually challenge them to do it, so then you'll recognize that there's really two kinds of anxiety. Like there's anxiety, and there really technically is two kinds of anxiety. I mean, there's anxiety that is negative and anxiety that's positive. And so they're highly related to each other. So if you can recognize in yourself that you have anxiety about something, yet the energy is still there, then that's a great thing. If you can recognize and then you can push through. If you recognize there's anxiety about something and your energy is also drained by it, well, it may not be the right decision to make. It may not be. It may be anxiety and fear teaching you something that's very valuable in that situation. And if you can recognize the two, because they're very deceptive. So if you were really excited about it yesterday, and then once you started committing to it, you're starting to feel drained and you're starting to feel depleted. Well, your energy level regarding that specific goal is still there. You've just let the inner roommate talk you out of it, and you're getting stuck in your fear to not actually do it. I mean, that's really crucial to recognize. Okay, and then you still push through and go ahead and do it. You pull out your checklist, you say, I made a commitment, I'm going to stick with this. But the other kind is like, why are you doing it? Because that's that dread, and maybe you're setting a specific goal to please other people or to make yourself look good. It's about this identity. You're proving yourself to other people. Am I making this decision based on self-promotion and self-protection? That's going to drain you. And that's fear talking, really bad kind of anxiety. Am I making this decision to help others and to go bigger because I can help others and do more good? Then that's going to be hope talking. And that's the good kind of anxiety.
That's good. Well, how do you stay motivated when progress feels slow or invisible?
Oh, man. Well, I stay motivated to do things that I don't want to do because, the resistance is there and progress seems slow. The main way that I get in channel that motivation, I find, is remembering how I'm going to feel afterwards and remembering how good it feels that I got something that was hard done. And those are some of the most energizing moments of my day, is when I have actually stayed with the course and asked the hard questions and addressed the hard issues. Like I had a conversation with somebody today about hiring them as a coach, and I'm super excited. And they accepted the offer, and really cool. It's going to be great to have them on the team and have them on the podcast and all this. But the hard parts of the conversation that I knew where I was going to resist related to dealing with core issues and asking the questions that I knew potentially I could get an answer I didn't want, but I still asked the questions.
Yes.
And then I remember afterwards, I felt energized. But if it didn't go well, I still would have felt more. I would have felt more energized, knowing that I'm not leaving that meeting saying, "Well, I didn't ask the hard questions. I played it safe." So if you play it safe, you're going to be de-energized, and you're not going to have the motivation. But you see the needle moving. You see the fact that some progress is being made. You recognize the energy that gives you, and you keep doing those things. Going to keep you motivated.
If someone listening feels stuck or unmotivated, what's one action they can take in the next 24 hours to start building momentum toward a goal?
Well, that's a big one right there, because I would suggest the first thing they do is they get some kind of clarity, because ambiguity feeds anxiety, ambiguity feeds fear, ambiguity feeds stress, ambiguity, fuzziness. And we live in a world that is cultivating ambiguity right now. Like let's see how confusing we can make life for people when if it's simplified, then it makes sense because there's logic, there's reason. It's not based on feeling, it's based on factual information. So when you clarify your goal and say, this is what it is, then you can show it to somebody, you can measure it, which I'd encourage you to find a metric that you can look at and say, I am making progress towards this goal. And a metric, in a way you measure, is usually by a deadline. Did you achieve it or not? Or some kind of quantification. Did you get those things done or not? Or did you make those number of contacts? Did you get did you do Did you make this amount of money? Did you spend this amount of money? Those are things did you get this number of workouts in? You can quantify them. And then the other part of that is once you clarify it, what's the next small step you can take towards achieving that goal? And you write that down as well. And then if you want to clarify even what the biggest obstacle will be for you achieving that goal, it's all about clarity. Clarity is going to give you the motivation, and you can start right away. So you do it and make progress right away. And so this really leads to one thing. I mean, if you're going to motivate your team, you're going to recognize, because the first thing I mentioned you want to recognize is to make sure that you're finding some level of clarity for your team. You're giving it to your team, and you're helping them define them clearly. And so you even challenge them to define it clearly. The second aspect, the second tool is to go ahead and address the fear. So it seems to me that there's maybe some apprehension here. What is that all about? Within yourself and within somebody else. What are the setbacks that you perceive occurring here? And then you just air them out. Like, that's the hard part about the conversation is okay, because you may be wrong. You may be wrong, and maybe that's an assumption, but you clarify your assumptions. But even asking the question, like, what is your apprehension potentially? Maybe you don't have any apprehension, but you're addressing it. So that fear is a really big deal that you as a leader need to address and be wary of. Be wary of in yourself so you can actually deal with it. Be wary of it in other people, because that's the resistance that they're going to have. But I'll tell you what, if you can paint this very clear picture, it starts with the vision. You clarify a vision. That's what we do. The first thing we do with a potential company or a potential client is help them clarify a vision. What do you want? And to get very specific with it, what would success look like in a year for your company, for your team, for your leadership, right there, and get really clear. Because if they have 5 different things, we're going to focus it down to just one. And that's where we're going to start. One thing, very clear. And that's going to actually bring out the fear as well as you talk about it, being very crystal clear.
Well, that ties into resources that we have, like Shatterproof Yourself and the Legacy Plan. How can these tools help someone not just set goals, but follow through and achieve them? Yeah.
So all the processes that we take clients through, companies, they're clarifying processes. How do we whittle things down to the real substance? Because for issues on a team, for example, they may have 20 different issues, but there's a core issue that we dig deep. I know how Susan Scott in the book, Fierce Conversations, you're going for mineral rights. Like, who owns the mineral rights? Let's get at that, because there's this problem within the problem that we want to clarify. And then all the different tools that we have as well. If I use the one metaphor that we use again and again, is that making a good cup of coffee, you have to have a foundation. The foundation is going to be the beans. And so healthy relationships and a clear vision and good knowing what you really like about yourself, your monkeys, those are the relationships, people that you lean on for support. You're building a foundation, good beans, and then you have to have a good filter. Your filter are your core values, and your filter is things like your life purpose, the company's purpose, all those things, the values of the company. They take out the grinds. The beans are ground up, and those grinds leave you with a good cup of coffee. Your goals and the right goals are the good cup of coffee. So those are things that you do in the process of Shatterproof Yourself and Tune Up for Life, the courses that we sell and the products, the coaching that we sell. I mean, that's what we're doing as coaches the whole time. We're helping them take out the grinds and then leave the coffee, and then make commitments. Goals are commitments based on the good stuff, the nice cup of coffee. And it's conversation. So you think of a coaching conversation. We have this ciao coaching conversation. Ciao, I'm Italian, so ciao means hello. I mean, hello and goodbye. It's basically a greeting and a parting. It's the same thing. And when you're in Italy, you hear ciao, ciao. It's like they say it all the time. It's kind of cool, but it means it's both hello and goodbye. It's kind of a cool thing. Well, a coaching conversation, it's an acronym for coaching intentionally our blank off. So I don't know if I can say that, but ass is off. So we're very intentional about those coaching meetings, the vision team meetings, the core team meetings. And so those things in those conversations, it's always a whittling down. Like, what progress have you made? What challenges do you see? What do you want to talk about today? And this is what I've been doing for 15, 20 years with people, is what is the most crucial issue? What's the biggest problem? Okay, you got all these things, but break it down. Like, okay, I'm hearing you say this, but what would success look like here? And then that may, in this area, and that may help them identify what they really want to focus on. And then they're going to have a takeaway in the process. So all of our tools lead to that same clarifying process.
So if listeners could take just one lesson from today's conversation, what would you want it to be about?
I'd want them to go ahead and say, as a leader, find a way to just today, say, what are the top 5 things for my team to get done by September 30th or in the next 3 months. So I like to look at things over a 3-month period, quarterly period, because we look at financials that way. And I just find it helpful. And I think a 3-month period of time, you can get a whole lot done. It's also a smaller increment that people can grasp, more than a year. So I like to say 90-day goals. So over the next 90 days, and then it's mid-quarter right now. It's mid-quarter 3. So what I look at with the team is say, where do we want to be and what do we want to have done at the end of this quarter, which is September 30th. That's what we want to look at. So you as a leader do that and find ways to get that clarity. Write it down right now for yourself, write it down and share it with your team. This is like a whole team. Then do the same thing for yourself personally as well. So what would be your top 5? And I don't necessarily think you have to have 5 personally. You can very easily have 3 personally, but no more than 5. You could easily have 3 for your team, and that's great. That's totally fine, but no more than 5. No more than 5. 3 I think is fine. I know for a team, in leading a team, I like to have 5 because, of course, that's closer to 20.
I'm surprised you don't want 7.
I know, but 7's too much. So it's 5 as well as settle for right there. Pretty overwhelming. And then if I go to just 5, then I find that a lot of them are combined to make them 1. And of the 20, my team helps me refine them to what the crucial goals actually are.
Can you share some of the goals that you're working on?
Yeah, okay. So some of the goals that I have right now are one of them is to meet new people, to meet new people, put myself in situations where I'm meeting new people, not the areas where I'm pretty comfortable, but in those areas where I'm pretty comfortable to find other ways to meet new people. So that is one is through volunteering and being involved in activities volunteering. Another one is through golf. So to actually be playing golf with people I don't know, which I did last Wednesday, and to meet new people. That's one of the goals that I have. And so another goal is to have introductions with people, so that like tonight I'm introducing a friend with another friend who has the same life challenge. And I've been working on that for a long period of time. So that personal goal that I have is making introductions. So what I did, I introduced my sister to a number of people that I think she can help recently. And that was a goal that I had. And I'm introducing my friend to this other guy. They both have had strokes and have similar challenges. So tonight, this has taken probably a year to put this together, but it's hopefully going to happen over Zoom tonight at 7:30 Central Standard Time. I'm not sending you a Zoom link to that, by the way. So it's just me and Robert and Ben.
That's pretty cool.
Kind of fun.
Yes.
Yep. And SOPs for the business, getting standard operating procedures down. And I've kind of shared some of the goals I'm working on, so those big goals have smaller goals that I give to the team that they're working on. So they have a piece of that goal. So those are objectives. Some say they're objectives are reaching goals. I get confused, but sub goals, things that are like this week we're doing X, Y, and Z this week, but they're all leading. They're a step on the way to those bigger goals.
Okay, where's the next questions?
And so, the third thing on here is that as a leader, I would really challenge you to make sure that there's a way to measure your progress. And Patrick Lencioni has made up a word, I think. I'm not sure if it's in the dictionary now, but immeasurement, okay? And he has this in one of his books, I think the 5 Signs of a Miserable Job or something, and that immeasurement makes for a miserable job. And it causes a lot of resistance long-term. And so we are in the business of long-term change. So if you lead in a way where you don't want to experience resistance, or you're taking it personally, or you are going and saying that because my team is resistant, that's a reason not to set goals and challenge them, you're going to have a huge long-term problem. You're going to be stressed. You're not going to delegate. You're not going to challenge. You're going to have employees that ultimately are going to be miserable because they're not being challenged to grow. They want to be challenged. But I struggle with this. A measurement refers to the absence of clear objective criteria for employees to assess their own success and progress on the job. And if we can't find a way to measure it and say, you got this much, you made this much progress, they're going to be very discouraged. I need to do a much better job in giving trackable, measurable metrics to my team, and I'm getting better at that. And Kelsey, you're probably looking at me and saying, I don't need that. But you want that. I can promise you want that. You want to know that I'm making this kind of progress in my job. And so figure out ways, metrics with their cooperation that's going to challenge them. Like I know Kelsey's job, one of the ways we measure progress for her is how many new email subscribers has she gotten, and it increases in a variety of ways. Another thing that we measure is how many people engage in the community and how many people go through Shadowproof Yourself Lite and purchase Shadowproof Yourself. And those are responsibilities that she has to report on Monday at our team meeting what progress has actually been made. So I want those to be on her mind all the time. What are you doing to make progress there? And we're tracking it. So, and then track your own progress. So yesterday I challenged 3 leaders to make sure they have metrics that they're reporting to their team, not because their team's holding them and their boss, but they're showing and modeling that metrics are important. So you find a way to measure it. You can take a selfie if you have a health goal. That's a metric that you can measure. You can look at the picture and say, am I making progress here? Because you wanting to lose weight, or you wanting to get more definition and be more toned, or to run a certain amount of miles. That's a metric. Or you're setting a deadline to run a marathon by this date, or setting a deadline to do yoga this many times a week by this date. Those are all metrics that you're measuring. You want to have that measurement. It's going to create a lot of encouragement in your life. So to summarize, right now, how are you going to motivate your team? Well, you're going to address the fear. You're not going to set too many goals. You're going to be very specific, and you're going to find ways to measure progress within yourself and with them. That's going to help the resistance to decrease long-term because they're seeing progress. So if you found this content helpful, you're definitely going to want to check out Shadowproof Yourself. This is 7 steps to a giant leap in your business and your leadership, professionally, emotionally. We talk about emotions. We talk about perspective. We talk about casting a vision, creating a vision, getting clarity. We talk about relationships. It's a free 30-minute video. Actually, it's 25 minutes and a worksheet you go through. It's very helpful, and you're going to find that if you complete the worksheet, you watch the video, you're going to find results right away if you take action based on the content. The content is going to challenge you, and it's very much free, and it's going to actually inspire you to make changes in your own life. There's no positive change long-term for you or for anybody until you decide to change. We have free will. We are the only animal that can choose to not go and eat that steak when it's sitting there right before us. We can say, nope, that's not really good for us. Other animals do not do that. They're going to go ahead and save it or eat it. We can make decisions to prolong and delay gratification, which makes us very actually powerful as people because we can resist. You can decide to change today, and your legacy depends on it. Your legacy is the impact that your life is going to have and has had on other people. You decide your legacy. So in closing, as I always do, live the life today that you want to be remembered for 10 years after you're gone. You decide your legacy. Nobody else, not Kelsey, and definitely not Troy. I appreciate you greatly, and I'll see you next time.